Welcome to the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Victor Floyd. Brought to you by
Coastal Appliances, Port City Paint and Body, the Emerald Princess, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Apple Care Immediate Care, Misty's Element Massage, Jenkins Nissan.
Now here is your host, the voice of the Brunswick High Pirates, the Professor, Teddy Bishop.
Welcome to the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Victor Floyd on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I am Teddy Bishop. This segment of the Victor Floyd Show is sponsored by Port City Paint and Body, the Emerald Princess, Coastal Appliances, Apple Care Immediate Care, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Misty's Element Massage, Jenkins Nissan, The Wave 1041, and Marside Grill. And now, joining us, the head coach of the Brunswick High Pirates, Victor Floyd.
Good evening.
Coach, first of all, congratulations to you, your coaching staff, and your players on making the playoffs. It's got to be a good feeling.
It is. We've taken a couple-year hiatus, and we're glad to be back in.
Coach, how often during the season, maybe before the season or as the season progressed, did you talk to your team about the playoffs?
Not much once it started. Any playoff talk we did was prior to the season, preseason, summer, spring, that type thing. But once the season actually started, we didn't talk much about the playoffs.
Okay.
Just kind of took 1 week at a time.
Coach, we'll come back to the playoffs a little bit later, but let's talk about the game last Friday night against Bradwell. Is it fair to classify that game as an ugly win?
It was, but, we'll take it. I told the staff we've played pretty good at different times and lost. I'll take playing pretty bad and winning over playing pretty good and losing any day.
Any day. You told me going into the game that Bradwell would probably play their best game of the season. Do you think the Pirates were flat, or were they looking forward to the Ware game, or was Bradwell just a better team than you had anticipated?
I think it's probably a combination. I thought they played pretty well, but we helped them out a little bit. And I can't tell you if our guys were looking forward to Ware or what. I know we didn't play up to our capability, but we were fortunate enough to come away with the win. And I thought Bradwell played well.
And again, it was senior night at Ovie Field for Bradwell. They had not won a game all season, and certainly, as you said, they had nothing to lose. And another one of those games where the team you were playing against had nothing to lose, and they just put everything out on the line. But Pirates did come away with the win, and that's the bottom line.
Yep, we'll take it.
Coach, the Pirates had two long touchdown runs against Bradwell. Of course, Randy Jernigan had the 57-yard TD, and Sean Smith had the 78-yard touchdown run. Overall, were you pleased with the running game against Bradwell?
I thought the running game was solid. It was just the mistakes that really hurt us. We put the ball on the ground a couple of times.
Right.
We slipped on a couple of screen passes with, a lot of green grass in front of us. But overall, the running game was fine.
And, of course, Randon had 21 carries last Friday night, giving him 176 on the year. Quite a few carries. How's he holding up with all those rushes?
Well, he's staying out of the training room. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So, as long as he's staying out of the training room, we're in good shape. In a perfect world, my quarterback probably needs to run between 12 and 15. He's probably closer to 18 this year. And some of that is probably a youth being a little unsure in the passing game, tucking it and running as opposed to throwing it. But typically we'd like to stay between 12 and 15 with the quarterback.
And you might have just answered my next question, Coach. Just comparing Randon's total carries with past quarterbacks in your spread offense, particularly Corey Dixon last year and as a junior, and you said typically the quarterback would get 12 to 15.
That's ideal. Corey ended up with 200 last year, a little bit over 200 in 10 games, which is around 20.
Right.
But that's not normally what you want. You want 12 to 15 and what we try to do. But circumstances, they have to tuck and run at times and make a play when there's no play there to be made. So quarterbacks tend to tuck and run.
This is the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Victor Floyd on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Coach, back to Randon Jernigan. He completed 5 of 10 passes for 54 yards. I think that's somewhat fewer passes than he usually throws in a game. Was that the game plan, to throw fewer, or, as you said, just had to tuck it and run some?
No, we just didn't get as many snaps as we normally take. We probably only played about 45 snaps, where we average around 70.
Right.
So that was the biggest difference. We just didn't play as many snaps offensively, so that had a lot to do with it.
And, Coach, Randon now has over 1,100 total yards for the season with rushing and passing. How has he matured as a player as the season has progressed?
Actually, he's got over 2,100. He's got over 1,100 rushing.
Oh, that's right, Coach. I'm sorry.
No,
yeah.
but that's fine. He's got over 2,100. He's gotten better over time in rushing. We've not thrown it as much as we have in the past, and again, we've thrown more out of necessity probably. I didn't want to get into a groove of throwing a lot of passes and putting him in a situation where, as a young one, you throw a lot of interceptions and lose your confidence. So we wanted to protect him a little bit there. So we didn't throw as much this year as we normally would. Typically, I'd like to throw between 22 and 24 times a game. This year, we're probably around 16.
Okay. Coach, talking a little bit about Sean Smith. He came up really big on that 78-yard touchdown run when you needed a big play. He's been the go-to man frequently this year. And I know Sean is just a sophomore, but certainly a good offensive weapon to have.
Sean's growing up as we go. He really is. He's kind of growing up right in front of our eyes. He's definitely been a go-to guy down the stretch. You know, with A.J. being out, he's really stepped it up. And probably the most exciting part for the Pirates is the fact that you look at Randon with over 2,100 yards of offense, and you look at Sean with 1,000 yards of offense. That's 3,000 yards of offense out of a freshman and sophomore. So we're excited about where those guys are, and we hope they continue to grow.
And I know you're not worried about next year yet, but that certainly bodes well for the program for the future.
I certainly hope so.
Coach, I want to talk a little bit about another freshman, Jalen Jackson. He's been pretty solid this year, and particularly I thought he did okay on the kickoff returns Friday night. Nothing spectacular, but he had 3 returns. I think he averaged about 20 yards a return.
He did. Jalen's did a good job. The thing about playing corner, when your name's not being called, that's a good thing.
Right, yeah.
That's a good thing.
That's a key.
So that means you're doing your job.
Right.
You're doing exactly what you're supposed to when your name's not being called. But Jalen's been real solid all year, and we've watched him grow from week to week. And he got an opportunity to actually return some kicks on Friday, which I thought was really good for him. And he will be doing more and more as the season goes on, and as we get into next year, we'll lean on him to do more and more.
Good. More to come on the Victor Floyd Coaches Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Right now, these words from our sponsors.
Coastal Appliances is your one-stop shop for Whirlpool washers and dryers, Whirlpool refrigerators, and so much more. Coastal Appliances offers free delivery and service after installation and have also been in business for over 30 years. 4727 Altama, next to Sonic, and on the web at appliancesbrunswickga.com, or give them a call at 912-267-0132. Coastal Appliances, Glenn County's only specialty appliance store. When you are in need of a reputable body shop, Port City Paint and Body in Brunswick is your answer. Located at 2509 Norwood Street, just down from Twin Oaks, Port City Paint and Body understands your needs and cares about your car and you. Port City Paint and Body works with any insurance company. Give them a call for a free estimate at 912-265-9524 or on the web at portcitybodyshop.com. Port City Paint and Body, home of the lifetime guarantee, and go
We got your game, we got your game, we got your game. Hop aboard for Texas Hold'em tournaments, roulette, poker, lots of slot action, food, music, and more. Labor Day weekend, Sunday, August 31st, 7 p.m. Cruises depart from Brunswick, Georgia. Call 800-842-0115 or visit EmeraldPrincessCasino.com. Must be 18 years of age and present a government-issued photo ID to board.
I'm Jenkins Nissan.
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 I am Jenkins Nissan.
I'm Donnie Jenkins. We're all Jenkins Nissan, and together we want to show you just how easy buying and servicing your car should be. So please, stop by and experience the Jenkins Nissan difference. Look for the red and white Nissan tent at the corner of Chapel Crossing Road and the Spur, or visit us online at jenkinsnissanofbrunswick.com.
Get affordable health care when you need it. At Apple Care Immediate Care, our team of compassionate healthcare providers is dedicated to treating each patient with the highest standard in healthcare. Located at 1111 Glencoe Parkway, Apple Care is open Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Apple Care welcomes all walk-ins from pediatric to adult ages and accepts most insurance plans. Visit us at applecaredoctors.com and like us on Facebook.
You are listening to the Victor Floyd Coaches Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Coach, if I know right now Brunswick High has the number 4 seed clinched. Possibility you could move up to the number 3 seed. I think if Ware loses to Brunswick High and Glen Academy loses to South Effingham, that would put Brunswick High up to the number 3 seed.
Right.
Is this something you've talked about with the team?
Not really. We're just talking about trying to win on Friday.
Trying to win against Ware.
Because, it's one of those situations where I told them at the beginning, we don't need to be in a situation where we got to depend on someone else.
Right.
And that's kind of the situation we're in. So we're going to focus on just handling the part that we can take care of. And, if that's meant to be, it'll happen.
Coach, speaking of seniors, I know making the playoffs was huge for them since none of them have made it before. What has the leadership of this group of senior players meant to the team this year?
Well, I think this group's been a solid group of leaders. A lot of these guys have done stuff the right way, and when I say that, I mean academically, behavior around school, behavior in the community, those type things. I think they've been really good leaders from that standpoint more than anything, and they've kind of held through the test of time. Past couple of years hadn't been great for us, and they've been there. They've made it through. And for them to have an opportunity to go to playoffs their senior year, I think is big for them.
Good. And Coach, just one other thing, I just want to throw something out here to you. I know you were talking about the group of players, not just on the field, but doing what they need to do in the classroom and everything. And I know that's something that you stress to your players. It's not just all about football with you, and I think you're to be commended for that. And I know you made the comment, I don't remember, it might have been before the coffee game when Kip and I had gotten there early and we were down there talking to you on the field, and you mentioned a player specifically that I'm not going to mention a name, but you said, if he did what he was supposed to all the time in the classroom, he might get a little more time on the playing field too. So that's something that I know you try to instill in your players, is that they've got to do the right thing off the field also.
Well, I appreciate it. We try. I just think that's a big part of it, because we have a tool that we can use to help a lot of these young men that may not be in positions to get help. And I think we have to do that in order for them to be successful, because it's one thing to be good on Friday nights during high school, but it's probably a little more important to be pretty good 10 years later when you got a job and a family and things that really matter,
Right. We will be right back to the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Victor Floyd on the Bishop Media Sports Network.
Bruce Kennedy Tire is your hometown destination for tires. Michelin, Goodyear, and all the brands you trust. But don't let the name fool you. Bruce Kennedy Tire, located at 2928 Norwich Street, does more than just tires. brakes, alignments, repair work, and more than I can mention. Bruce Kennedy is locally owned and operated, so you get the best service in Glenn County. So give Bruce a call at 912-264-6578. Bruce Kennedy Tire, a name you can trust.
Relax. Misty's Element Massage specializes in helping you do just that. Located at 138 Village Market on St. Simon's Island, Misty's Element Massage offers deep tissue massages, therapeutic massages, scrubs, creams, body wraps, and much more. The perfect gift for that special someone, not to mention sports massages for that aching muscle. Schedule your appointment today at 912-224-0198 or on the web at mistyselement.com.
Welcome back to the Brunswick High Coaches Show with head coach Victor Floyd on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Teddy Bishop. This segment of the Victor Floyd Show is brought to you by Bruce Kennedy Tire, Wave 1041, and by Misty's Element Massage. Coach, want to talk a little bit more about your seniors and particularly the offensive line. You've got a veteran O-line with a freshman quarterback. That had to be a big factor in Randon's success.
It has been, and I thought that, when we had the quarterback competition going, whichever one started was going to be young. And I thought we were in a good situation because we had some guys who had been through the fire,
right,
so to speak, having started the past couple of years on the offensive line. So I thought it was, if we had to break in a young quarterback, this was the year to do it. And I think those guys did a solid job because we're, probably averaging right at 400 yards a game on offense. And, they've been solid. They've been solid.
Okay. Coach, just want to see if you have some updates for us on some former Pirates on the collegiate level. I know we usually talk about this every week, and you bring us up to date on Harold Small and some of the other players that were in the Pirate program.
Well, there were a couple that had, pretty good weekends. Justin had a really good game against South Carolina. He had 7 tackles. He had the interception to set up the field goal to tie it up, send it in overtime. Had a TFL. Played real well. Jarvis had a huge game Saturday. He had 234 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns by halftime. And with that, he's leading the SIAC in rushing and probably in the top 3 for Offensive Player of the Year in that region. So he's having a real good year. I think he's over 800 yards. I think it's about 875, 10 touchdowns, and leading that conference in rushing. So he's doing really well. Demetrius, I didn't see Demetrius' actual stats, but I did watch some of the game. They played BYU Saturday, and I know he had a couple of catches because they called his name out a few times. So I think he's still doing well. And Avery didn't have as big a game this week. I think he got introduced to how it is to play in snow.
Yeah.
I think they got frozen out up in Boone in North Carolina. Appalachian State beat Georgia State pretty good, but Avery had a couple of catches, a couple of returns. He's still second on that team in all-purpose yards, so he's still contributing a lot. But those are the guys that I know off the top of my head that had pretty good weekends.
Thank you, Coach. I know you try to keep up with your former Pirates, and certainly many of them are doing well at the collegiate level. Coach, last week we talked about your offensive and defensive coordinators, and we said that maybe this week we'd get a chance to talk some more about some of your other coaches. Let's talk about some of your other offensive coaches.
All right. Well, Coach Kyle Wilson comes to us from Appling. Kyle had been the head coach at Long. When I first came to Brunswick, he was the head coach at Long County, and he went from Long to Appling. He was the offensive coordinator and O-line coach at Appling the past couple of years. Has a son in the school system at CB Greer. I think he's a 5th grader. So we're excited about having Coach Wilson with us. He brings a wealth of knowledge. He was a graduate assistant for a couple of years under Bobby Bowden at Florida State, and was around a lot of good players and a lot of good football. And we're just glad to have him, even though he's a Seminole. We're glad to have him on staff.
Solid resume.
Oh, yes. And Coach Richardson's been with us for years, Coach Craig Richardson. He's one of our receivers coaches, does a good job. He played at Georgia Southern and has always been a heavy contributor in statistics along with coaching the wideouts. He keeps all our stats. We wouldn't know anything if Coach Richardson didn't keep up with it. So he does a super job there, does a great job working with the young men that play wideout also. Then you have Brandon Evans, who's in his second year with us. Brandon's a young coach who's just getting his feet wet, just getting started, doing a good job for us. He also helps with receivers. He's a receivers coach also. We have 2 receivers coaches because we have inside receivers and outside receivers, so we need more than one, and also tight ends. But Coach Warren McClendon coaches running backs, and Coach McClendon has been with us for a while. He's been here my 7 years, and I think maybe 2 or 3 years prior to that. Coach Jimmy Harris comes to us from Charlton County, where he'd been offensive coordinator at Charlton County and a couple other places. Coach helps with all the offensive skill, coaches the offensive skill, and also works in the school. We're excited the wealth of knowledge he brings to the table. He's probably brings about 25 years of experience to the table, been a lot of different places. So we're excited about him and what he brings. And then we have a former player, just a couple of years removed from the program, Trevor Bryant, who played offensive line for us, was a 2-year starter for us and was in the program for 4 years. He's a student at Coastal and just getting his feet wet in the coaching profession. But we're excited Trevor came back to join us, and he's doing a good job for us. But that would conclude all the guys on the offensive side of the ball.
Okay. Coach, any just one more quick comment on Ware County. I know big game, the number 1 team in the state coming into Glenn County Stadium. I know your players are pumped about it. Any final thoughts or comments? Got about 30 seconds or so on the Ware game.
Well, I mean, we just decided about having an opportunity to host them, and we're looking forward to it. They have a good team, but we also feel like we have a good team also. So I think our guys will show up. I think it'll be a very good game. I encourage any Pirates to come out and support us tonight, and we look forward to it.
And we certainly encourage everyone to come out to Glenn County Stadium. Let's fill up the stadium and cheer the Pirates on to an upset of Ware County. Thank you for joining us for the Brunswick High Coaches Show with the head coach of the Brunswick High Pirates, Victor Floyd. You have been listening to the Victor Floyd Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Teddy Bishop, and we thank you for listening.